And I remained aloof from the organization, and I began to give advice and direction to dissident members who would come to me and with burden, almost in a state of mental shock, some of them, telling me of the charges that they have heard of, and telling me, hoping that I could tell them something that would reestablish their faith in my father. And I could not give them much to reestablish their faith with. I began to get...
There has been much written and said about your departure from the Black Muslim organization. Could you tell us exactly why you did leave the organization?
Well, I didn't leave, number one. I was put out, no matter, and since there was no justification for them putting me out, they had to make it appear to the public that I left of my own volition. But it was in February of 1963 that Wallace Muhammad, one of the sons of Elijah Muhammad, pointed out to me that his father had a very serious moral problem, which he had kept a careful secret up to that point. But that when I heard about it, I went directly to Elijah Muhammad. We discussed it. He explained it. He even admitted it to me, as well as to some of his other children. He discussed it with his other children. But when he gave me his religious interpretation or explanation of it, I accepted it. But about 5 months went by, and Wallace pulled me aside again and told me that his father hadn't changed. He was still involved in the same thing, and he was getting worse rather than better. And I think it had a serious effect upon me, subconsciously, if not consciously.
I'm going to read the letter that I sent to Brother Wallace, the letter first that I got from him, and then the letter that I sent. He sent me a letter dated January the 7th. Assalamu alaikum, in the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, I thank him for the many blessings that come to us through his messenger, my father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Dear Malcolm, it is reported to me that your fabric proved to be too weak to bear the highly publicized decision of our leader regarding your unkindly criticism of the late President John F. Kennedy. But while being too restive, you stopped safeguarding the messenger's interest, giving clear evidence to the widely accepted proposition that you consider the messenger's interest to be the prime factor only as the best means of furthering your own interest. But when a convincing report of your recent hypocritical actions reached him, you decided it was time to bring your opposition to me out from under the table to serve as a twofold purpose. One was obviously to use me as a scapegoat. Malcolm, I considered myself to be one of your greatest admirers. I have expressed my willingness to work under and with you to my father and also to you. I don't believe I have a passion for leadership, and I don't think that I can imagine myself running the affairs of many or one mosque without the utmost regard for the advice and for the judgment of the messenger. It's hard to see oneself in full scope, but I do recognize my father's greatness and your inferiority. Your figure skating has often fascinated me. Though many times some of the maneuvers were against me, I accepted it in humor. All of my conversations and dealings with you, of which all were warm and many were intimate, were intended to give you more strength and confidence as a national representative of my father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I hear you have charged me with the contrary. I restlessly await the opportunity to clear myself as soon as a meeting with you stating the charges can be arranged. From the messenger, for the messenger and the Muslims, Wallace B. Muhammad. When I received that letter from Wallace B. Muhammad, I sent him the following answer on January the 11th. Dear Brother Wallace, the time of trial is upon everyone and everything, and the test will be the attitude we had toward the messenger, the trial stone, when we come face to face with truth. Some will stand with him, and some won't. Some will pretend to stand, and those who pretend will receive worse chastisement from Allah than those who confess their past faults and weaknesses outright to him. If you love your father, Allah, and Islam, and the Muslims as you say you do, then you should tell the messenger the truth about the things you expressed to me concerning him and concerning the Savior. Then he will know best how to plot his course and the storms that are certainly to come upon us real soon. If you back down now, then you will be no different from the rest of your family and the officials there whom you yourself criticized for putting their head in the sand, pretending there was no crisis and nothing to worry about. The tone of your letter has strengthened my conviction that it was Allah's will that I said those ill-timed, ill-chosen, and ill-spoken words that stirred this up. Until your letter arrived, I was feeling very bad about the pain I seemed to have caused for everyone, especially for the messenger and you. Because deep within you, I did feel that you meant right. Only the course of events that developed over the past 6 months could have made me tell the messenger the things I told him, namely because it all involved his family, which made it a touchy subject to bring to him without causing him personal pain, although it was information that he needed to know. No one but you would have had the nerve to tell me what you did, and no one but I would have nerve enough to tell the messenger all the things I had. I told him the truth about everything, not to hurt anyone, not in self-defense, not vindictively, and not looking for any scapegoat, but because I realized the biggest mistake of all, biggest mistake all of us have made, is in not going directly to him with everything. I was surprised in your letter that you seemed reluctant or less willing to stand by your convictions about Allah and about his messenger and face squarely the things you said. I underestimated your strength of character and conviction because I did think you were the type who would stick to his beliefs under all pressure. That is, if you really believed them. I can see by your letter that I was wrong. I am happy now that this has come into the open, no matter how painful, because you could have weakened and harmed the faith of others far more than you weakened mine. You say that my subject was too weak to stand under the messenger's highly publicized decision to suspend me. If this is so, then what caused my subject to become so weak? It was weakened by your words to me in November, mostly. You are the first and only person ever with nerve enough to challenge or question the messenger's integrity, his honesty, his sincerity, and even his morality. Had I not truly loved you almost as a god, second only to your father, you could never have told me these things without me going directly to him with them then, and the poison from it could never have weakened my fabric. I confess that I became weak, that I entered into a period of careful re-evaluation of everything. But no one on this earth has ever heard me speak against the messenger knowingly or purposely. In accusing me of having hypocritical motives behind the words I uttered early in December, you said in your letter, quote, giving clear evidence to the widely accepted supposition, you consider the messenger's interest to be a prime factor only as the best means of furthering your own interest, end quote. That statement puts the finger on the whole problem. And as you yourself again have always said, no matter what my efforts, sacrifices, or accomplishments are, everyone still suspects my motive. You aren't telling me anything there. This is something I've lived with ever since I walked into Mosque number 1 Michigan 12 years ago and found all of them sitting down, but still claiming to love and want to help the messenger. When I tried, they accused me then of trying to set up another mosque, and when that didn't work, they accused me of fathering someone else's baby. At this narrow-minded rate, the only way one can help the messenger and not become suspect is to sit silent and inactive, as many narrow-minded laborers do, have been doing for years, and cast suspicion upon the motive of anyone who comes along and doesn't want to sit as they are doing, waiting on the mystery guy. I stopped worrying about what others think of my motive, as long as I know I am being true to the messenger and he understands my motive. The only time, to my knowledge, that I've been untrue to him was when I hesitated to lay before him everything I heard when I heard it, no matter who was hurt by it. Your recent letter makes me see this even more plain than ever before. I have never tried to use you as a scapegoat. I repeated what you had told me. It was my intention to do this, as I told you many times before. And you also had told me you had been writing to your father yourself. My purpose of speaking of these things to the ones I did here on the East Coast was to make them aware of the dangerous state of affairs at number 2, and to show them why number 2 needed understanding and help. My motive was not vindictive, as you above all other people should know. In fact, those who accuse me now of being vindictive have been doing this for years and would have been of the same opinion even if this had not come up.